we're going to talk about the one mental mistake, the one single flaw that leads to probably 99% of our bad decisions in life. It's the root of our worst arguments, our most toxic prejudices, and our deepest, most stagnant unhappiness. And the most dangerous part is, we are all biologically wired to do it. The famous writer David Foster Wallace once said, "The truth will set you free, but first it will have its way with you." For the next few minutes, we're going to let some of those hard truths have their way with us. This isn't just theory for me. I'm Sam Carter, and at a point in my life, I felt a profound sense of being lost. So I paused everything and began a journey to understand these exact mechanisms in myself, the stories I told, the truths I avoided. So let's start with the first and most fundamental truth. Everything in life is a trade-off. Every single choice has a cost attached. That $10 artisan coffee you bought this morning, that's $10 you can't spend on something else. That's the obvious stuff, but it applies to everything. Choosing to binge-watch a series all weekend means sacrificing the time you could have spent learning a new skill or with your family. Choosing one partner means, by definition, not choosing all the others. Every benefit has an inherent cost. There is no such thing as a free lunch. We know this intellectually. But here's the problem, and here is truth number 2. Our minds are programmed to deny that trade-offs exist. Let's imagine you're in a stagnant, loveless marriage, and then on vacation you meet Rocco. Rocco is a coconut vendor on a beautiful tropical beach. He's tan, he has a six-pack, he laughs easily, and he gives you free coconuts. And you start to fantasize. You imagine leaving your boring spouse, moving to the beach, and living this idyllic life with Rocco. Sun, sand, and endless coconuts. In this fantasy, you are only seeing the benefit. Your brain conveniently edits out the cost. It doesn't show you the part where you have to tell your kids you're leaving. It doesn't show you the tiny, sweltering shack you and Rocco live in, because it turns out selling coconuts doesn't pay very well. It doesn't show you the reality of being an immigrant with no friends, no money, and a growing resentment for the taste of coconut. Your brain does this because holding two contradictory ideas at the same time, I want this amazing new life, and this new life will come with immense, painful costs, creates a feeling of mental stress. It's a tension we call cognitive dissonance, and our primate brains, wired for simplicity and survival, hate it. Think about a more mundane example. You splurge on a new, ridiculously expensive smart toaster for £500. It's sleek, it has a touchscreen, it connects to Wi-Fi. You get it home, you use it, and it just burns your toast. Instantly, cognitive dissonance kicks in. One thought is, I am a smart, savvy person. The other thought is, I just spent a week's worth of groceries on a useless, toast-burning brick. The tension is unbearable. So, what does your brain do? Well, it's not just a toaster, it's a statement piece for the kitchen. And the app will probably get better with updates. It's an investment in my home's aesthetic. You are literally inventing a narrative to eliminate the mental pain of having made a bad trade-off. Our brain's solution to this tension is to force reality into a simple black or white box. It declares one thing all good and the other thing all bad. Rocco is the all-good dream. Your current life is all bad. This expensive purchase is good, the cheaper, functional alternative is bad. This political party is good, the other is evil. This way, there's no conflict, no trade-off, just a simple, clean choice. But it's a choice based on a delusion. This black and white thinking is the source of so much dysfunction. It fuels polarization, radicalism, and fanaticism. It prevents us from seeing nuance, from empathizing with others, and from making wise, long-term decisions. Where do you see this black and white thinking causing the most damage in the world today? Share your thoughts below. So, our brain creates this neat little fiction to avoid the pain of a trade-off. But what happens when that internal lie spills out into the real world? It gets ugly. And that brings us to truth number 3. We blame others for the costs. To maintain our perfect black and white delusion, we have to invent a story. And the story is always the same. The benefits, I earned those. That's me. The costs, someone else is to blame for those. That's their fault. This is a well-documented psychological bias called the actor-observer bias. When we do something good, we attribute it to our character. When we do something bad, we attribute it to the situation. When you get an A on a test, it's because you're smart. When you get an F, it's because the professor is an asshole and the questions were unfair. The comedian George Carlin nailed this perfectly. He said, "Have you ever noticed that anyone driving slower than you is an idiot and anyone driving faster is a maniac?" Think about that. When you're driving, your speed is, by definition, the perfect, correct speed. The problem is always with everyone else. This impulse, this belief that we deserve all of the benefits of a choice without any of the costs, has a name. It's called entitlement. And it is the default setting for the human animal. Entitlement is the delusion that there should be no trade-off. It's the belief that you can have the beach life with Rocco and financial security and a great relationship with your kids. It's the demand to have your cake and eat it too. And when reality inevitably presents you with the bill, with the cost, you get angry. You feel victimized. You look for someone to blame. We're not born understanding trade-offs. We have to be taught. We have to be socialized out of this state of infantile entitlement through years of trial and error, through pain and disappointment. Growth is the process of learning to accept the costs. But how? If our brains are wired against this, how do we consciously choose to accept painful trade-offs? This leads us to the heart of the matter. Have you ever noticed that some struggles energize you, while others just leave you feeling drained and hollow? The difference between those two holds the entire secret. This brings us to truths 4 and 5, which are best explained by a 2,500-year-old allegory from the Buddha. He said that life will inevitably shoot an arrow at you. This first arrow is pain. It's the unavoidable objective cost of a choice. It's the market crash that wipes out your savings. It's the rejection from someone you love. It's the diagnosis from a doctor. This pain is real, but it is often temporary. It's just a fact. Suffering, the Buddha said, is the second arrow. The second arrow is the one we shoot at ourselves. It's the story we tell ourselves about the first arrow. It's not just, "I lost my job." It's, "I lost my job, which proves I'm a failure and my life is over and it's all my old boss's fault." That is the second arrow. That is suffering. And unlike pain, suffering can be endless. Some of us get hit by the first arrow of pain, and we spend the rest of our lives repeatedly stabbing ourselves with the second arrow of blame, victimhood, and self-pity. The secret to a meaningful life, then, is not to avoid the first arrow. You can't. The secret is to find the first arrow you are willing to sustain. To find the pain that you welcome, the struggle that enlivens you, the cost that you are proud to pay. For years, I thought I wanted to be a professional musician, but I hated practicing. I hated the grind. The pain of it, the first arrow, was draining me. It created endless second arrows of frustration and self-doubt. Then I started writing. And the struggle of writing, the staring at a blank page, the deleting of 1,000 words, the mental anguish of finding the right sentence, that pain felt good. It energized me. I welcomed that first arrow. I had found the pain I was built to sustain. This is the ultimate life hack. Your competitive advantage in life is the pain you are willing to endure that others are not. But this leads to the most profound and overlooked trade-off of all, the one that stops most of us from ever truly growing. Truth number 6. The biggest cost of meaningful change is the death of your former identity. We love the no pain, no gain mantra. We look at someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime with his insane 5-hour workouts, and we think, wow, that's the cost of success. But we're missing the point. The hours in the gym weren't the real trade-off. The real trade-off was everything else he wasn't doing. He wasn't partying, he wasn't building a normal social life, he was sacrificing a huge part of a normal existence. To become the world's greatest bodybuilder, he had to let the identity of normal young man die. When I decided to get healthy in my late 20s, the trade-off wasn't just eating less cheesecake, that was the easy part. The real painful cost was giving up the identity I had built for a decade. My social life revolved around bars, late nights, and getting shit-faced with my friends. My friendships were calibrated to that person. To become a healthy person, I had to be willing to damage those friendships. I had to be willing to become a stranger to the people who knew me best. I had to let the fun party guy die. And I had to grieve him. This is the part nobody tells you about. To make a significant change in your life, a part of you must die. And that death requires a period of mourning. It's the entrepreneur who must grieve the security and simple identity of being an employee. It's the new parent who must grieve the spontaneous, carefree person they were before to fully become the person their child needs. You cannot become the butterfly without the caterpillar ceasing to exist entirely. This is why real change is so rare. We want the new life, but we are unwilling to bury the old one. This wisdom, this acceptance of harsh trade-offs, is not new. It's often forged in the most extreme circumstances imaginable. Think of the generation of brilliant European thinkers who lived through World War II. They had everything taken from them. They faced the ultimate trade-off, your life or your principles. Sigmund Freud, fleeing the Nazis in Vienna, had his optimistic views of humanity shattered. He realized that civilization is just a thin, fragile veneer, and that underneath, our primal, animalistic minds are always waiting. That was the trade-off he had to accept. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist imprisoned in Auschwitz, saw who survived and who didn't. It wasn't the strongest or the healthiest. It was the ones who had a reason to suffer, a purpose. He discovered that meaning is the one thing that can't be taken from you, and it's what makes any cost bearable. Jean-Paul Sartre, as a French prisoner of war, realized the terrifying truth of human existence. He saw that we are completely, radically free. And this freedom terrifies us because it means we are 100% responsible for our choices. There is no one to blame, no excuses. But perhaps the most powerful story is that of the great psychologist Carl Jung. During the war, Jung was publicly criticized, even ostracized, for appearing to cooperate with the Nazi regime. He met with high-ranking officials. He never spoke out against them. For years, his reputation was stained. He accepted this cost. He never defended himself. He lived with the public scorn. Decades after the war, classified documents were released. It was revealed that Carl Jung was a spy. He was Agent 488 for the Allies. He was using his meetings with those Nazi officials to build a psychological profile of Hitler, which he fed directly to the Allied command, providing crucial intelligence that helped shape the war. He chose to sacrifice his reputation, his public identity, to do what he believed was right. He accepted the ultimate trade-off, in silence. This brings us to the final, most important truth. You can't have it all. There is no such thing as a balanced life. That is another delusion, another attempt to deny the reality of trade-offs. A meaningful life is not a balanced life, it's a specialized life. It's a life where you choose one, or maybe two, things that matter more than anything else, and you go all in. You accept the pain that comes with that choice, and you let go of everything else. Refusing to accept trade-offs is the worst trade-off of all. It's choosing to have a little bit of everything, which amounts to a whole lot of nothing. It's a life of quiet desperation, of never truly committing, of always wondering, what if? In the end, it all comes down to a choice. The choice to accept reality as it is, not as you wish it were. The choice to pay the cost for the things you truly want. The choice to define yourself not by the things that happen to you, but by the sacrifices you are willing to make. As Carl Jung himself wrote, encapsulating his entire life's philosophy, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." If this way of thinking challenges you, then subscribe for more. And because content this honest is always at risk, maybe save this one. You might need it later.